Hi, I'm Chris McChesney. Welcome to the 4DXOS webinar demo. 4DXOS stands for 4 Disciplines of Execution Operating System. Before we dive in, I'm going to take just a second and tell you why this is a big deal to us. For 15 years, we have dedicated an enormous amount of time to something that we have maintained as a consulting practice. We've got 2,000 strategic implementations. We've got 200,000 teams that are currently on a 4DX platform that's currently running right now. But what we haven't done is we haven't made 4 disciplines available as a training program. We did this for a very specific reason. When you go through a training program, so much of the focus tends to be individual. And it's very difficult for an individual to apply 4 disciplines without their team. Also, 4 disciplines isn't something you really learn, it's something that you do, right? If an individual goes through 4 disciplines, they get excited about the concepts, they naturally assume that their team is going to embrace this. And when that doesn't happen, they get frustrated. And that's why we've really dedicated ourselves to making this something that actually comes alive, that actually works. Well, the challenge, though, has been that it's been very difficult for a lot of teams and a lot of learning development professionals to implement 4 disciplines if they weren't part of a larger organizational rollout until now. And we believe that 4DXOS really is the answer to making this highly applicable, to putting this in action, and being able to do that in a way that it's available on a much smaller scale than what we've traditionally been able to do. So what I want to do is show you a short 3-minute video that explains the overall process. You'll get it quickly, and then I'm going to take you a little further into the operating system.
Is there anything more important for a leader than executing on their top priorities? The 4 Disciplines of Execution, a #1 national best-selling book, is based on Franklin Covey's experience in 2,000 strategic implementations. A big part of its popularity is the simplicity of the approach. However, understanding the 4 disciplines is one thing. Applying the disciplines with a team's full buy-in is something else.
We built the 4 Disciplines Operating System, or 4DXOS, because we wanted to do more than teach the concepts of execution. The real trick, the really important lessons are in how you apply the 4 disciplines. How do you get them running in your team? In 4DXOS, we take you from concept to application with your own execution system.
4DXOS provides you with 4 distinct sections for your journey. In the Learn section, you will get up to speed fast and not just on the basics. You and your team will learn the nuances as well as the key insights into the universal principles of execution. Apply is where the magic happens. Tapping into over 15 years of experience applying 4DX, we will provide a step-by-step process that takes the complexity out of execution. In Facilitate, you'll learn one of the most powerful aspects of 4DX, how it engages your team to create a sense of ownership. In this section, I will be like your facilitator in the room, leading you and your team through the exercises that give your team the greatest sense of involvement. It's one thing to have a great execution plan, but it's another to have a working process for execution. In Create, we take the work you are doing from both the Apply and Facilitate sections and drop it right into an easy-to-use system for running the 4 disciplines on a daily and weekly basis.
Within each section, Jim or I will take you through a series of short 3 to 5 minute videos that represent our best thinking on each aspect of this process. 4DXOS is designed for you to go through the 4 disciplines first as the leader, and then lead your team through the 4 disciplines using the videos you feel will work best for them. Most importantly, as you take the work that you've done in the Apply and Facilitate sections and load your execution system in the Create section, you'll be in a position to execute at an entirely new level. You and your team will have narrowed your focus, defined a clear finish line, determined the predictive lead measures for success, have a simple automated scoreboard for seeing your progress in real time, and a mechanism for making and reporting on weekly commitments. In short, your team will be focusing a tremendous amount of energy on the results that matter most.
Okay, so I think right now you understand what this graph was, what this matrix was in the background that you've been looking at while I've been talking. You know, if you think about the Four Disciplines book, you've got 300 pages of a tremendous number of execution insights. But if you've ever read any business book, you know that that's hard to get at. The key to this process has really been the distinction between learn, apply, facilitate, and create. And the inspiration for this, interestingly enough, came from TurboTax, the tax preparation program. You know, if you use TurboTax, that's obviously different than going to a certified public accountant, right? That the CPA might be akin to our consulting practice around the Four Disciplines. But TurboTax also is not a training program, right? You don't go through TurboTax like a training course and then go do your taxes. You go through that product and your taxes are done, right? It's all in one. And that was kind of the inspiration, the vision behind a lot of this. What I want to do now is take you down inside of these boxes. If you look for each section, so here we have Discipline 1 and Learn. We go down into this. You'll see there are 3 videos right here, all between 3 and 5 minutes, that teach critical elements that you need to learn about Discipline 1. As you go down into Apply, there's a series of videos on how to apply Discipline 1. And as we said, the leader goes through first and determines which videos make the most sense for their team. Now, what I want to do is show you just a little bit of one of the videos from the Learn section and one of the videos from the Apply section.
Them. As a matter of fact, if you feel like luck is playing a role in your career, you're probably looking at lag data. Take another common example, kids in school. The lag measure, grades, right? In this example, there are 2 excellent lead measures. Current homework average, right? What percentage of assignments are completed on time, and how many hours a week the child spends studying for exams. They are both very predictive of improvement in grades, and they are also directly influenceable. Now, if you're a little cynical, you might be saying to yourself, wait a minute, what are these people saying? If I want to lose weight, I should diet and exercise? If I want my kid to do good in school, they should do their homework and study? Wow, these people are geniuses. Well, that may sound like what we're saying, but it's actually not. Everybody knows diet and exercise. What everybody doesn't know is how many calories they've eaten today and how many calories they've burned. Every kid knows I have to study and do my homework, but how many parents know what Sarah's current homework average is or how many hours Sarah spent studying for exams this week? There's a big difference between knowing a thing and knowing the data behind that thing.
Okay, so there's your example of a Learn video in Discipline 2. Now I'm going to drop down into Apply, and we get to Jim Huling, who is kind of a genius around this. And what I want to do is just show you a minute of one of Jim's videos. Get a feel for the difference here.
Performance. The 5th test is to ask, is it a leader's game or a team game? The behavior of the team must be the driver of the lead measure. If only the leader can move the lead measure, the team will quickly lose interest in the game. For example, a quality initiative requires the leader to audit the process frequently. The outcome of those increased audits should be a continuously improving audit score. However, if the candidate lead measure is simply to increase the number of audits performed, it fails this test because only the leader can do audits. But if the candidate lead measure is to respond in a timely manner to the findings of the audit, it becomes a team game. In other words, the actions to drive the audit score would involve everyone on the team. The final test before selecting a candidate lead measure is to...
Okay. I'm going to leave you hanging right there. Actually, I'm not sure what test 6 actually. I'd have to go back and watch this when when the video is done. Okay, so I think right now you're getting a good feel for the difference between the Learn videos. And by the way, we've got more than a decade really trying to understand the nuances of helping people understand these key principles of execution. Then you get into Apply and you really have a lot of information. This is really what keeps people out of the weeds and makes it much more usable. When you get into Facilitate, we're now helping a leader work with their team, getting this material out of the team, getting them involved. And involvement, we've learned, isn't only important for commitment, it's also important to get the right answers, to really dial in the right lag and lead measures. Edwards Deming said that, the great quality guru, that people within 12 feet of the work really understand cause and effect relationships the best. And so involving the team is critical, not just right for their commitment, but also to get the right answers. Now, all the work in Learn, Apply, and Facilitate come together in the Create section. Okay, and this is a very interesting piece right here. This is where you track your progress towards the goal, where you are, which is the wildly important goal, the lead measures, and the commitments that are made on a weekly basis to drive the lead measures. This is done with very simple tutorials. I'll go ahead and start one right now so you can kind of see.
Once you're ready to make your wig more specific, you might consider the advanced features. This is where
Okay, and so this tutorial can play at the same time that you are loading. See, it won't let me load my lag without my lead. While you are loading your goals, your key measures, working on them while you're watching the tutorials at the same time. So this is a very helpful user interface for building your scoreboards. This is also the interface that's used on a weekly basis by the team to maintain the process. This is really where the 4 disciplines live. Two best friends of execution are simplicity and transparency. So as we go back to the grid right now, the last piece that I want to show you is another video by Jim explaining that the process that a leader goes through for taking their team through this process. And I've been referring to a leader. This could also be a learning and development professional that's working with a leader to take their team through this process. And I think this last video really helps put everything together.
In this video, I'm going to explain how to go through 4DXOS as the leader, and also how to take your team through the process. For the best possible results, we recommend that you, the leader, review the entire system first on your own. This is called the leader track. Next, go through the system again, but this time with your team, using the videos that work best for them. This is called the team track. In the leader track, review the entire Learn section for all 4 of the disciplines first. This will give you a complete understanding of the 4DX principles. Next, review the Apply, Facilitate, and Create sections for one discipline before moving to the next discipline. This will give you an even deeper understanding of each discipline, as well as a preview of the work sessions and the technology that will bring 4DX to life. In the team track, lead your team through the Learn, Apply, Facilitate, and Create sections for one discipline before moving to the next discipline. As a leader, you have the flexibility to use this system in a way that works best for your team. Some leaders prefer to complete all of the disciplines before starting their teams on the process. Others prefer to complete one discipline and then complete that same discipline with their team before proceeding to the next discipline. Whichever method you choose, remember, keeping your team fully engaged in the process is the key to ownership of the results.
Okay. Last thought for you. For thinking about the whole purpose behind this, and in the 15 years that we've worked with these principles, in what's maybe the most important leadership issue of all, which is the ability to execute your plan, right? To to actually achieve your most critical priority, we've come to one really important conclusion, that the most important aspect of execution is the ability to create a winnable game. We believe that the number one driver of morale and engagement is whether a person feels they are winning. When you think about 4 disciplines, think of it as a process for creating a winnable game around the most critical aspect of your strategy. This works, and this works every time. What 4DX OS is all about is making that easier for an individual team to do. Thank you so much for your time.